If you are feeling a bit parched, you're dry, you're weary, you're wobbly in your Christian walk, you have two options. Option number one is to go to some sort of an experience that typically involves dimmed lights, moody, tends to be repetitious music to get you pumped up again. Does it work? To a degree it does. Why? Because when we sing about God, even if they're pretty vapid and repetitious songs, that can help us to a degree. But if we simply go to these events because it manipulates our feelings, it causes us to have higher emotions, what happens when the lights go up, the doors are open, and you go back out into the world? You're deflated all over again. So what do? You go to another experiential event to get pumped up one more time. Wash, rinse, repeat. Might I suggest to you, if you are a little bit wobbly in your walk, or it's not as consistent as you'd like it to be, option number two, a lot more betterer and a lot more biblical. Right here, right here. Not here first, here first. Your noggin. Got to fill your noggin. The Christian faith is a cognitive faith. Do we have emotions? Of course we do. We're not automatons. God, rightly understood, has emotions. We're His image bearers, so we have emotions too. But where do they come from? They come from here. Are you lacking joy? Do you feel kind of, you're running out of gas all the time? Maybe you've grown weary in the fight. You no longer have the energy or maybe even the desire to mortify sin. Might I suggest to you that this is what needs to be engaged, and it needs to be engaged in one thing, the Word of God. Why? Because that's where we find truth. And even though we can tend to forget stuff, so we need to continually be in the Word, that is God's prescription for the parched and weary soul. Let us let Paul Washer help us with our Christian walk. He's going to present 4 pillars that your faith should rest on, and you're going to notice a bit of a theme.
Knowledge of who God is. That's the first thing I'm looking for when I'm studying the Scriptures. What does it tell me about God? Because if the Scriptures reveal to me this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful God, it has a way of increasing my joy when I know that this wonderful being is in control of my life. Jeremiah says this, "Thus says the Lord, let not the wise man boast of his wisdom, and let not the mighty man boast of his might. Let not a rich man boast of his riches, but let him who boasts boast of this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercises loving kindness, justice, and righteousness on the earth. For I delight in these things, declares the Lord."
Pillar number 1, if you want to have a rock-solid, unwavering faith, is knowledge about God. When you read the Bible, whatever your pattern is, be constantly asking the question, what does this teach me about God? This means it's going to require a few more calories on your part. You're going to need to work a little bit harder. We have a tendency to just read the Bible and it's like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe something kind of jumps out at us and we go, whoa, I hadn't seen that before. But if you engage your brain, and as you read, whether it's Old or New Testament, whatever it happens to be about, whatever genre of literature, while asking yourself the question, now what does this tell me about God? It is going to fill your brain with knowledge, and it is going to build a pillar on which your walk will stand.
This God who is for me is holy. And then you hear about righteous. He doeth all things in a right manner. He is wrong in nothing. Now, if I see that apart from the gospel, the only thing I can see is judgment. But if I see that in the gospel, I say this: if God is for me, who can be against me? If God Not 25% for me, not 75% for me, not 99% for me. This holy, righteous God is 100% for me, and 100% of His holiness, and 100% of His righteousness, and 100% of His justice is for me. It's on my side. Do you see that? It's no longer against me.
Well, then I wish the guy would get a little passionate about the knowledge that God is for us. Is there a ditch to that truth? Yeah, there is. You see it on Christian programming all the time. God just loves you. You're so lovable. You're so amazing. If God had a fridge, He'd have your picture on it with a magnet. You're so amazing. You're so wonderful. Hold the phone, Henrietta. This universe exists for God's glory, but that doesn't mean we're not involved in the story. And that means as we read about God in the Bible, and we see His work in the world, we recognize it's predominantly for His glory, but it is also for our joy.
But here's a problem. A lot of you, when you hear low views of God, you're only thinking, what He's telling me is that God is big, and God is holy, and God is just. No, low views of God's love also. Do you realize that? You talk about all the superficial Christians and superficial churches and how they have a low view of God's holiness and a low view of God's justice. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a low view of God's love? Because if you're walking in condemnation as a believer, if your life is based on your performance and your joy is based on what you do, guess what? You have a low view of God. You have a low view of God. It's not just with regard to holiness or righteousness. It's with regard to His love. Don't. You see, if you've entered into the kingdom, you have finally walked through a door into a world that is hard to believe. His love is so great and so unconditional that at times you want to correct Him. You want to even rebuke Him. Lord, this is wrong. You shouldn't love me this way.
But He does, and I can't help but wonder if the problem that Paul Washer is describing is systemic in conservative Christianity. Could be wrong. Increasingly, I don't think I am. Whilst we have been so concerned about proper theology regarding God's holiness, His highness, His righteousness, His justice, His judgment, because we see and hear so little of that, is it possible that we've forgotten about the love aspect of God? Why do I think that we are forgetting that almost as a rule in evangelical Christianity? What are the aberrant movements about these days in evangelical Christianity? What are the movements that are really growing, and what is their hallmark? Think, for instance, the New Apostolic Reformation movement. It is the fastest growing aberrant branch of Christianity there is. And what are they high on? You got it. The love of God. He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. And we look at that and we see something that we might be inclined to mock. Oh, it's just the squishy God. It's just all about a loving God. Hold the phone, Henrietta. God is love. Is it possible that we have let a bad movement focusing too much on one attribute of God, that anytime we hear about the love of God, we're like, whoa, 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 with the John 3:16 business. Let's not get carried away here. God is holy and righteous, and He's going to judge the world and burn it up. All of that is true, but let us not let bad movements rob us of biblical truisms about the nature of God, and that God is love, and not only is He love, but God loves you if you are in Christ, and God is for you. If your walk is dry, it's wobbly, I would ask you the question, are you hearing any preaching about the love of God? When you read the Bible, do you see the love of God popping off of the pages? You should. Why? Because in this is love. Not that we first loved God, but that He first loved us, and He gave His Son as a propitiation for us. That means while we're reading, even in the Old Testament, pointing to Jesus, when we get to the New Testament, all about Jesus, we should be seeing the love of God, and we should enjoy that knowledge, and it will build a pillar on which our walk will stand and not wobble.